In part 1 we did up to anticlimax, and in part 2 of this video we are beginning with synopsis or condensed sentence. Now, synopsis or condensed sentence is something like or stain her heart or stain her honor or her new brocade or lose her heart or necklace at a ball. Now, if you look at honor, brocade, then heart and necklace, both are examples of anticlimax that you know. But this has another quality, this particular statement from Alexander Pope's Rip of the Lock. If you look closely, there is one verb, stain. It is being used for two particular expressions, stain her honor and stain her new brocade. So one particular verb used once in the sentence, but it is used for two different objects. Point number 1. Same goes for lose, that is, the object is heart and again necklace. The verb is used once, but for both objects. Now, point to be noted, the second one, that is very crucial, that this verb is used once for two different objects, but with two different meanings. Like stain her honor, in this case, stain has one meaning, that is very metaphorical meaning, but stain her brocade, it is a different meaning, it is literal quite. Then lose her heart, it has the word lose has a different kind of meaning, with losing, different than losing a necklace. Losing a necklace means literally misplacing a material object. Losing her heart means falling in love. So the verb is being used once, but with two different meanings, and that's how it is condensing. It is making the sentence or the statement shorter. So this is how condensed sentence or synopsis is like. There is another thing called zeugma, which we shall come afterwards to, and that has pretty similar things with this one. So that's why I told you to remember these 2 points. One verb, many objects. Point number 1. Point number 2, the verb is used once but with different meanings for the different objects. Moving on to our next figure of speech, that is personification. This is an easy one, you know. So personification is when something or someone who is not a person, I mean an animal, inanimate object, natural object, an abstract idea, whatever except a person, is treated as a person. How? Let us see. This is from Macbeth. Nor heaven peep through the blanket of the dark to cry, hold, hold. Now here, heaven is being, talked about, like heaven can peep through. Peeping is something that a person can do. Peeping through the window or something like that. Heaven can cry. Can heaven cry out loud saying hold, hold? A person can. But here it is being said that heaven is doing that or supposed to do that. So heaven is being treated as if it is a person. That is personification. Heaven peep through and cry. So these are the things that heaven is supposed to do according to this statement, whereas heaven is an idea, not a person. So this is personification. Next, very similar to personification, in fact this is a specific kind of personification, that is prosopopoia. Prosopopoia. This is where a personified entity is speaking for itself. Like there is a poem by Shelley where a cloud is speaking for itself, and the cloud is saying that I am the daughter of earth and water. Earth and water. And the nursling of the sky. Okay. So now who is speaking? The cloud is speaking. Can the cloud speak like a person? No. So the cloud is personified, not only personified, but the personified entity is speaking. This is a specific kind of personification that is called prosopopoia. Moving on to another kind of personification, that is personal metaphor. Here we shall also see that something is personified. But the style of personification is very specific. How? Like the thirsty earth soaks up the rain. So what is happening? Earth soaking up the rain, all right. Earth is called thirsty, adjective in front of that noun. The noun, that is earth, is not a person. A person can be thirsty, but earth is being called thirsty. So earth is being personified here. How? By putting an adjective in front of it, a particular expression, a particular, expression or feeling that a person can have, which is here, just as this one, thirsty earth. So thirsty, a person can be thirsty, here earth is being thirsty like a person. So the technique is to add an adjective, a particular adjective, so as to make the object being treated as if it is a person. And when in such a way you are doing you are making a personification, then it is personal metaphor. Why? Because you see, to remember, just to remember, for the sake of remembering, a person can be thirsty. When a person is thirsty, he can drink a lot of water. Earth is being implicitly compared to a thirsty person, just like a metaphor, and earth is soaking up the rain. So just like a metaphor, there is implicit comparison, but that implicit comparison elevates the position of this particular thing, that is earth, to the position of a person, personifying through implicit comparison. Personal comparison, implicit metaphor. Okay, personal metaphor, done. Next one, pathetic fallacy. This is also another kind of personification. Pathetic fallacy. Now, when here earth felt thirsty, what if a particular natural object, inanimate object, I mean animal, a plant, anything except a person, is feeling sad or sympathetic? Then it will become pathetic fallacy, like this example. The land wept at the suffering of its people. The land wept. The land wept at. Now, can the land weep? The land is being treated as a person here. A person can weep, the land is weeping here. Also, weeping means the land is sad, the land is sympathetic, and when this kind of emotion is felt by the inanimate object, something that is not a person, an animal, a plant, nature, whatever, then this particular kind of emotional case is called pathetic fallacy. Okay, fallacy means a kind of fault. That means something that cannot be or should not be, that should not occur. Now, pathetic fallacy, the name is such because a land cannot weep So if you say a land is weeping, grammatically or literally it is a fallacy, but this is a figure of speech by which you personify the land. Next one, apostrophe. Now remember, this one is also most of the time a personification. Why do I say most of the time, not all the time? I'll explain that. Apostrophe is when an example is this one, oh judgment. Thou art fled to brutish beasts. Now, someone is calling this particular idea as if it is a person. First of all, this is personification. Judgment, as if someone is calling judgment, oh judgment. Is judgment a person? No. So it is personified. But this is an apostrophe, not just a personification. Because someone is calling something by name. Now, give your attention, because this can happen without personification. You remember the line, Milton, thou shouldst be here, or something like that. Now Milton was a dead poet, but still a person. When you are calling, oh Milton, then you are not personifying Milton. Milton is a dead person, but person after all. Actually, apostrophe is when you are calling someone or something who is not there, or dead, or an object that cannot answer. You are calling like Keats calls the nightingale, the Grecian urn, or like Shelley calls the west wind, oh wild west wind, or the skylark. Calling something that cannot answer back because it's an animal, wind, or an object like an urn, or or a dead poet, or an absent person like Coleridge does in his Dejection and Ode. So all these things can happen. When you are calling someone, oh this, oh that, naturally, most of the time there is an exclamation mark after that. Most of the time, not always. That is a clue for you to get apostrophe. So, if there is an exclamation mark, always it is either an exclamation or it is an apostrophe. Okay. So far as I know, this formula works all the time. Either this is an exclamation or this is an apostrophe, but not always apostrophes are followed by exclamation marks. So let's be careful there. If a dead poet is being called, if an absent person is being called, that is not personification, that is just apostrophe without personification. And when an object is called, that is of course apostrophe, but personification is inherent in it. Okay, so you have to just mention that this is an apostrophe. You don't have to write about personification, whether it is a personification or not, but you have to say that this is an apostrophe. Why? Because this is a dead person or an absent person or an object or abstract idea being called. by its name, as if it is a person present there. Okay, so that is apostrophe. Let's move on to the next one, that is invocation. I don't think this should be in this list, but anyway, invocation is when a poet calls to a god or a muse, prays to a muse, you know, and like this one from Paradise Lost. And chiefly, thou, O Spirit, now this could be, this looks like an apostrophe, but in this case this is not apostrophe, because it is, you know, the muse is being called. This is a prayer to the muse, the goddess. So that's why it's specifically not an apostrophe but invocation. Only that's the reason, nothing else. That dost soar that dost soar, no, sorry, that dost prefer before all temples the bright heart and pure instruct me. The poet is praying to thou, O Spirit, that is the muse, to inspire him to write his poem. When such prayers happen, that is called an invocation. Moving on to the next one, that is vision. Vision is a very detailed image, a very detailed image, a pictorial, you know, presentation of something, so that you are reading the lines, but the picture, you can visualize the picture in front of you. So that is vision, the detailed description, the picturesque description, like this one from Macbeth. Remember, this vision, this rhetorical term vision, does not relate to hallucination. Just because I am, you know, giving an example of Macbeth's hallucination doesn't mean that hallucination is equal to vision. No. Vision is when an image is put forth by the poet in front of you. You are reading that image. It is so detailed, that it is so picturesque, that you can visualize. Literally, you can, you know, in your imagination, paint the picture in front of you. Okay, visualize the thing. It is so detailed an image. That is vision. Now, Macbeth is describing the dagger and describing in detail. That's why it's a vision, rhetorically. Of course, it's Macbeth's vision of the dagger, that is in terms of the particular play, the particular situation, he is hallucinating. But we are here talking about rhetorical term vision, not the, you know, lexical term vision. Okay. Is this a dagger? Sorry. In dagger which I see before me, the handle toward my hand. Come, let me clutch thee. I have thee not, and yet I see thee still. This goes on. Okay. The whole description of the dagger is a vision. So I am not continuing to write the whole paragraph. Just get the scene. When the dagger is described, when Macbeth is looking at the dagger, describing its handle, describing the blood all over it, describing it pointing towards Duncan's room, and describing all these things in detail, that is called vision, because you can visualize the whole picture. Moving on to the next one, that is hyperbole. Now make a note of this. The pronunciation is not hyperbole. The pronunciation is hyperbole. I don't know why. The English language is a very, odd language in terms of pronunciation. We have, for a long time, we mistook it as hyperbole, but this is not pronounced as hyperbole but hyperbole. Okay. Now you may check the dictionary. It's written in the dictionary too. Hyperbole is when you are exaggerating something. How? Let's take an example from a poem that you all know perhaps, To His Coy Mistress. The poet says, I would love you, I would love you 10 years before the flood, and you should, if you please, refuse till the conversion of the Jews. Now, looking at it, you can understand that someone can love, of course, but cannot love from the beginning of eternity to the end of eternity. That is an exaggeration. That is saying too much. That is going beyond reality too much. Okay, so that is hyperbole. When someone needs acceptance in love, generally this formula is applied. That's the way to remember it. Let's move on to the next one. That is innuendo. Now, innuendo is when you speak indirectly, of course, but it has a specific style. Let me explain that with this example. Innuendo The hungry judges soon the sentence sign and wretches hang that jurymen may dine. Now this is from Alexander Pope's Rape of the Lock, Canto 3, I think. Now, yes, Canto 3, definitely. This is where the poet is actually hinting very clearly towards the the justice system of his contemporary time. He is saying that the judges are so hungry that they soon the sentence sign. They hurry up signing the sentence. That is indirectly pointing at the faulty system, the system that is not performing its duty responsibly. That irresponsibility is being hinted at by the poet, but in a very indirect way. He is not saying that the judges are irresponsible, they do not care about the system, judging the right thing, taking time and doing the right thing. No, he is not pointing at that directly. He is not calling them irresponsible directly, but indirectly he is saying that yes, the judges become so hungry that wretches go and get hanged. Just like that. That is that kind of hinting at something negative while acting like I am not saying anything about it, but hinting at it. Suppose I am telling you that he is a politician but honest. That means I am talking about him. He is an honest person, good thing. But also there is an innuendo about that he is a politician but honest. It means that I generally think that politician means, the word politicians means that if somebody is a politician, he is dishonest. He must be dishonest. That's why I am explicitly saying that he is a politician but honest. So this has something to be said about him, of course, but also an innuendo that points at something negative, some negative comment about politicians as a whole. So here in this sentence, the poet is talking about the judges being hungry and the jurymen coming to dine, in the Hampton Court and everything. So that is the prima facie, that is the, in the face value, that is the meaning. But there is an innuendo pointing at the faulty system that is going on. Okay. The society's folly is being hinted at. In innuendo, always either something sexual or something negative comment, politically incorrect, so-called. That kind of thing is always hinted at. That is not acceptable by society. If you say that, there will be some kind of danger, something. So that's when you take the way of innuendo. Okay. Now moving on to the next one, that is irony. Irony, for example, irony is you are meaning something. You know it. The reader perhaps knows it. Otherwise, he won't get any meaning out of it. But you are actually saying literally the opposite things. You know what you mean, I get what you mean, but you are literally not saying it. You are saying the exact opposite thing, exact opposite thing in a very opposite way. Let me give you an example. You know, the opening line of Pride and Prejudice is a great example of irony, so I have taken another example that is very contemporary, that is very significant in our time, of course. George Orwell. I trust that every animal here appreciate the sacrifice that Comrade Napoleon has made in these extra labor, has made in this I think I'm making a mistake. Just the quotation, I don't think it is going right. Just a moment. Yes, I'm back. This is in taking these extra labor upon himself. Do not imagine that leadership is a pleasure. Now, if you have read Animal Farm, you understand that you understand what Comrade Napoleon was and everything, and you know very well that this is an ironic statement. When you read it, you doubt it, that whether it is actually literally meaning what is it is, word for word. Is it literally meaning the same thing that it is representing, here, word for word, or is it meaning something else, something exactly the opposite? Because this gives a comic effect, that when the writer says, do not imagine that leadership is a pleasure, it is a very serious tone, serious note, but the writer is not seriously saying that leadership is not a pleasure. Leadership is a pleasure. And when the writer is saying that sacrifice that Comrade Napoleon has made, he is not talking about sacrifice. He is talking about the hunger for power that actually Comrade Napoleon has. So, this is being talked about like extra labor, and do not imagine that leadership is a pleasure. All these things. This is overall something being told, but actually the author is meaning exactly the opposite. When you read it, you understand it. But legally, you cannot say that the author or perhaps the speaker, who is the character who is speaking all these things in the text, is derogating anything. The author is not literally derogating anything, but he is being ironic. He is, meaning the exact opposite while being apparently very politically correct, praising the leadership of Comrade Napoleon, but actually meaning the exact opposite things. That is irony. Irony gives us a comic effect. The next thing that I am going to tell you is, something that we most of the time confuse with irony. That is sarcasm. Now, remember one thing. Irony and sarcasm out of literature in normal people's life, normal life, sometimes we say sarcasm and mean irony, sometimes we say irony mean sarcasm. That doesn't matter, but as a student of literature it matters a lot. Sarcasm and irony are different things. They are very close, but they are different. Remember that. How? Sarcasm mocks. Remember this formula that I am saying. Sarcasm mocks. Full stop. Mocks with an intention to hurt or attack. Irony, what was irony? Irony only mocks, only ridicules, makes fun of it, fun of something. Irony mocks, but sarcasm mocks with an intention to hurt consciously. Okay, so there is the intention factor there that makes the difference. Like when Andrew Marvell is writing these lines in his poem, that the grave is a fine and private place but none, I think, do dare embrace. Right? So, the whole statement, the grave is a fine and private place, when the poet says that, the poet is meaning the exact opposite. It is not a very fine and private place. I mean, it is not a praiseworthy place at all. It is something, a place, if you for the moment believe in afterlife, for the sake of argument, then it is a place where you are alone, suffering from that loneliness in that dark chamber. So it is not a fine and private place. The poet is not meaning that. So you should say that this is irony. But no, there is the hint that, but none, I think, do dare embrace. This is the attack. There, if you want, oh lady, you are refusing me now in your life. You are thinking about your purity, chastity, religion, faith, dying a virgin. All the things are good, very good. But if after death, being in that chamber, in that fine and private chamber, if you wish to get out of your loneliness, you cannot get it. But that is being, told in a very attacking way, a very pinching way, like, but none, I think, do dare embrace. There is a very, pinching tone there, trying to make her understand the cruel reality of life while she is dreaming about afterlife. Alright, so there is intended hurting here. That's why this is not just irony, this is more than irony, this is sarcasm. So how do we remember it? We just, after writing all these things, we just write that irony mocks, but sarcasm mocks to attack or hurt or insult, whatever. Okay. So there is an intention, a very clear intention about hurting. Now, I think I should conclude here the part 2 of this video, and in the next part we'll talk about the next ones. So now, just so that you can see the whole thing together, here it is. Now, if you like the video, do like, share, subscribe, and stay connected to the channel. Thank you.